What do you complain about every day when you're here? The school system? Ooh. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Life in Germany channel. If you don't know me, my name is Jenna. I've been here since 2014. I'm in international living here in Germany, and I talk about all of my cultural experiences and my ups and downs and share all of my tips along the way with you here on this channel. And you guys had a ton of questions for my mom. A lot of you know that she's visiting, she's helping out, and she's gonna be here for the birth of the baby. So I wrote down all of the questions that you guys had for my mom, and I'm basically just gonna pick her brain today and ask her a few questions that you guys had for her.
I'll try my best.
It's not a test. Mind you, there are some trolls on the internet, so you might get a couple comments. The first question was, how did you feel when you found out about me moving to Germany?
I was very excited for her because she had been doing lots of traveling. Then when she decided she was staying permanently, it was a little bit heartbreaking because I'm so far away and she would be so far away from me. But also exciting. I've always said that I gave my kids wings to fly and they all flew.
And now every once in a while she gets offended by it and is like, why did you all leave me? And I always say, I've probably told this story before, I always tell it in like podcasts or interviews when people ask me, how did you end up in Germany? Like, who pushed you to do it? And the answer is her. She was the one who convinced me that I should give this relationship a shot, and if it didn't work, what's the worst that could happen? I would just
Come back home.
Come back home. So the next question was, has your perception of Germany and the Germans changed?
I would say yes, they have. At first I came as a tourist. I was just like in awe of all the old buildings and everything. I still am, but as the years have gone on, I come here, I'm much more comfortable. I know the bus routes. I can even tell people where to go sometimes. I've realized that if I use my one famous line, mein Deutsch ist nicht gut, they automatically start giggling and speaking English to me. So that's a wonderful thing. I find too, if I say I'm from Canada, they seem very happy to meet me.
Germans love Canadians. My perception personally, like when I thought about moving to Germany at the beginning, I thought I have no desire. I didn't want to learn the language. I didn't want to go to Germany because the things that you learn in school are much different than I think is the reality here in Germany. Yes, there's beautiful castles and cobblestone roads, but there's also a lot of maybe more negative connotations to Germany.
Yes, I think there are, and I think a lot of those have been snuffed out for me because I think people have to live with this history that isn't even part of them anymore. And that's a sad part, and it's not fair. You know, just in the years that I've been coming here, I've noticed many more smiles, but there is a stigma definitely of the war.
Okay, the next question was, what are the biggest cultural shocks you've faced here? This is like the #1 question that everybody has for everybody when they come.
Okay, I love languages, but there's some days I've gone out on my own and I use my line, mein Deutsch ist nicht gut, and doing things like going to get your hair cut and trying to explain to someone what you want done, or you're looking for a certain product. Finding it can be very difficult if it's very specific.
I think people, they forget about the little things, to order things and to get your hair cut or pay your bills and stuff, and you forget about that because you're like, oh, these are the easy tasks, you know, it's the paperwork that's gonna be hard. But it really is sometimes just frustrating as heck to sit there and not know, or to stand there at the cash and not know what they're saying and constantly feel stupid.
Yeah.
Like I hated the feeling of feeling stupid.
Here's a little example. I was in Aldi getting groceries, and the lady at the register is very nice. She doesn't speak any English. I went in and I had the bag inside the shopping cart, and she kept saying something to me over and over again, and I said, I don't understand. And then finally she pulled the bag so she could look underneath it, and I had no idea that's all she wanted to do. I felt like a dummy.
It's not necessarily the language that's the culture shock. I think it shocks you more the feeling that you get when you go through that experience.
Because you think you're a pretty smart person.
Would you like to learn more German? Like, how do you feel about it?
I am enjoying learning German through the people. I think it's fun. They correct me in like lineups and stuff. And I was ordering a coffee one day and I was trying to get sugar. The man beside me lifted up the sugar and he says, here, you put it in yourself. I've met an amazing amount of people because of this, which is a good thing.
I think the biggest thing is that you also have to have that confidence too. I think for a lot of people it helps learning like the language through a course because it gives them a bit of confidence. Yes. Whereas I have to say, like, my mom has somehow so much confidence to go out and, I don't want to say make a fool of herself, but it is. It feels like you're making a fool of yourself, but she's just like, whatever, you know, she goes and she talks to the people and she says her line, mein Deutsch ist nicht gut, and then tries like every other word, you know, and just keeps going. And for a lot of people, it's not that easy to do that. But I think like if you can do it, then like you said, you know, people are a lot more friendly. The Germans, they really appreciate when you
try.
Yes. And remember when I told you guys that I wanted to get my mom on board with learning a little more German? Well, I ended up successfully doing so. I got her on board with a Lingoda class, and it sure reminded me a lot of the times when I first started and had like these nervous sweats worried about what was gonna happen. Well, she quickly realized that it actually wasn't as hard as she thought it was going to be, mostly due to the fact that these online Zoom classes were with teachers who were not only native speaking teachers, but also super down to earth and really, really nice. Also, the group sizes were less than 5 people, so she actually got to meet people from around the world, and that was probably one of the first things she said when she got off the call, was how cool that aspect of it was. And despite Lingoda being one of our main sponsors for this channel, I completely stand behind their mission of wanting to build international bridges through the use of learning a language, not just in German, but also in French, Spanish, English, and business English. And some exciting news, Lingoda is bringing back their sprint challenge again very, very shortly. So let me give you a little bit of a rundown. Depending on how you look at it, it is a 2-month or 60-day intensive language challenge. And you can choose between their sprint or their super sprint. So basically their sprint is going to be 15 classes per month for those 2 months, and the super sprint is 30 classes per month for those 2 months. Now the biggest difference is that if you do the normal sprint challenge and if you attend all of your classes, you can actually get 50% of the cash back that you paid for the program once you have successfully mastered the challenge. If you do the super sprint, which I highly recommend because you'll actually get 100% of the cash back if you actually succeed at the challenge. And I find the super sprint is actually a really good way just to dive down and really learn the language intensively right off the bat. Of course, there are some rules regarding the sprint challenges, so I will include a link down below for you guys to check out any of their frequently asked questions or the rules regarding how the actual challenges work. But as always, I love bringing you guys awesome discounts. So despite the fact that you could possibly get up to 100% of your cash back taking this 2-month challenge, you do have to pay an initial registration fee. And I have a personalized code for you guys that I will also include down in the description below and in the pinned comment section that will give you 20 euros off your registration fee. Lingoda is one of the top language schools online. I'm not just saying that, you can check it out for yourself, but I highly recommend if you are looking to learn the language intensively right away and really want to actually speak the language here in Germany, check out their sprint challenges. If you have any questions at all, feel free to ask me. I've taken many of the courses myself as well. And of course, all of the links that you need can be found down below. Are there things that you like and don't like particularly about Germany? So this is her 4th or 5th time here, but her 3rd time staying like up to 3 months. So I think this time we've actually been doing almost like nothing since she's been here because I've been so pregnant that she's really kind of jumped more into like the daily life of things and how things are run here. So I think it's an interesting question to ask her now since she's been more of like a local than I have.
I like the bus system. It's quick, it's easy. I love that I can walk everywhere, go down to the grocery store if we need a couple of things and just pick them up. Oh, I'm often telling Jenna that I want Canada to take over this bottle system that you have, where you return the bottles and the people get a receipt for food. That is an amazing thing over here, and I would love for Canada to pick that up. What have I complained about that I don't like?
What do you complain about every day when you're here? The school system?
Ooh. So I've worked in the school system for the last 27 years in Canada. I do believe that the system in Germany, and yeah, I might get a lot of hate talk from this, is behind, very behind in the integration system. I did focus on special needs children when I was there. They're still segregated here. They're not integrated, which hurts me because there's many special needs children out there that need to be integrated into the system in order for them to thrive more positively. If you go to Canada or probably the US as well, it's an inclusive system for all.
I guess she's been more talking about this topic not like just out of nowhere from analyzing from her point of view, but because a lot of my friends just happen to be teachers in Germany, not just in the north but also in the south, so she's gotten a lot of, I guess, understanding of what the system's really like here. I can definitely vouch for it. I think a lot of internationals that move here get really frustrated with this system of segregating the kids. Like they go to Grundschule and then they have to pick if they want to go to Gymnasium, Realschule or Hauptschule, and then you're segregated at such a young age. You know, you're like 10 years old, whereas we used to do it in high school and we would have to choose whether we took academic or applied classes. The academic classes would send you to university, the applied classes would send you to college. And I thought, okay, you know, at that age we know a little bit more about what we want, but a lot of people still didn't know what they wanted. And my friend who was visiting a few weeks ago from Canada, who's also a teacher, actually said that they're getting rid of this entire system in Canada too, so that you can take courses however you want and whatever university requires whatever credits is up to you to take those. So I think that that's interesting.
Every child develops at a different speed, and you cannot make that decision at such a young age when they might pop out of their shell in high school or even past high school, and everyone needs to be given a chance to succeed.
I would also be really interested to know what you guys think about the topic, because that might be a good video to create and to talk about the differences between the Canadian system and the German system. How do you feel about your ability to communicate with your German in-laws and with your grandchild?
My grandchild, he speaks English.
Ish.
Ish. Occasionally when he has a group of Germans around him, he will go to German and I just say, Grandma doesn't understand. He'll fix it for me. When I'm around the rest of them, they really try hard, some more than others. Some are very good to me.
My brother-in-law, who loves speaking English and is really good at translating, and I always say if it wasn't for him I probably wouldn't still be with my husband, because he's the one who made me feel comfortable here and understand. Because as much as I wanted to learn the German language, it's tough, you know, when you're sitting at a table and everybody's just speaking, and I understand that it's kind of like everybody's speaking English to help you out, and then all of a sudden the topic just gets heated and everybody gets excited and then the conversation just switches to German. And for me it was so frustrating when I first got here. I mean, that's how I learned German.
We got to give a shout out to Max. His name is Max and he helped me the same way. He is wonderful at telling me what's being said and what's going on.
Even I'm bad at doing the translations for her because I'm still learning German, so it takes me a little bit to process it in my head. And she's like, why aren't you answering me? I'm like, I don't even know what's going on myself. Like, just give me a second. So it gets difficult. The next question's a good segue from that one. Have there been any cultural misunderstandings between you and your new German family members?
Sometimes the honesty is a little bit much. I have to go to Jenna and say, why didn't they just say that to me? Because in Canada, and when I first came here, they'll say, oh, would you like something? Oh, no, thank you. And they're kind of insulted that I said, no, thank you. That's how you do it in Canada. And what I should say is, yes, please. And just take what there's care of me.
There hasn't been a lot of misunderstandings between like mother-in-law or whatever, because we don't really spend all that much time with them. Yeah, they're more honest, I've noticed, and that sometimes like offends my mom, and she'll be like, does she like me? Or like, did I do something? But similarly here at home, like she'll be like, you'll tell me when like I'm getting on your husband's nerves, right? Because she just like, she thinks that he won't tell her, and I'm like, Mom, he'll tell you. Like, don't worry.
As a Canadian, the way we are, that does take a little getting used to.
I realize how much more German I've become when I see her. Like every day, at least 5 times a day, she'll be like, I think he's mad at me. Like, I think I did something wrong. And I'm just like,
or I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's a Canadian thing.
But you just learn to not give a shit in Germany. I don't know, like you don't worry so much about what people think of you. How much do you think I've changed since moving to Germany? Been here for 8 years now.
I don't think she's changed a lot. She has become a little bit more blunt. I only noticed at the beginning of the visit, you're still you.
My smiley, bubbly self. I tell you guys all the time that like I don't want to give it up. as much as people say like, oh, seems so fake, or like, I don't know.
She's goofy like her mom.
We smile, we're bubbly people.
And we talk to everybody.
You talk to everyone. She has more friends than I do here in Germany. Where do you think it would be easier to raise children?
I think my grandson is having a great time here. There's some wonderful things like the biking and the closeness of everything. Whereas in Canada, you have to drive to go here and drive to go there. And I mean, I can go to 3 parks in one day with him here. And I'd say it's a good place to raise children. My concern would again be that I feel like the school system is about 10 years behind in the times. I just don't want him to be put in a section where he doesn't belong. I want him to always have the freedom, and school offers that, or should offer that, to all children.
From my experience, I feel like in Canada we're just a tick more creative in the way that we learn too, and my mom's all about, you're born on this planet for a particular reason, you know, it might not always be science or mathematics or languages. Those were the main questions that you guys had asked her, but if you have any other questions, of course, I'll try to...
Don't make them too hard.
Try to get her to go through the comment section and maybe answer a couple questions if you have any more questions for her. Otherwise, I think we featured her in a few videos and now she's like, I'm done.
And I've had to say, choose.
Choose.
Choose. I keep saying cheers for some reason.
Choose. Anyway, that's not what I say at the end of my videos.
Oh, what do you say?
I say, und wie immer, bis später.
Bis später.
Bis später.